the general patterns that we have here, and I'm kind of babbling, obviously, but that seems to work pretty well. I will tell you again and again and again, the more not disconnected, but the more discontinuous you are with the idea that you're doing something outside of yourself in order for something to happen to someone else, the more powerful the potential is. Okay, there, we're locked in like a tractor beam to, I'm not sure what this is, but it's a very strong pattern. Excuse me, sometimes my body does that when I'm locked into something. I get all these intense, well, not intense, I mean, intense makes me arch my back backwards, but I get some pretty big shots of call it kundalini or whatever up front. So scoliosis, limiting beliefs, this, that, and the other thing, this, that, and the other thing. Okay. Okay, so I'm kind of in several areas simultaneously here, and I often do that. That's how I can. The GTTs have really expanded. If you want to do something, it's kind of like if you've watched, and some of you may not have, but I think most of you have. If you've watched the Star Wars movies where Luke Skywalker is trained to use the lightsaber, finally they blind him, and then he gets hit a few times, but then he's able to start to return. Richard Bandler did something similar to this with when a person wanted to improve their tennis abilities, their tennis game. He put a blindfold on and had everybody lob balls at them, and they were getting hit a lot and it hurt. But then finally they started to sense where the balls were as they were coming. And so the GTT has taught me, and maybe taught some of you, how to allow consciousness to intercept patterns without needing to focus directly on the pattern itself. So I have to see it, see the symptom, go into it, connect with it, and all of that. This happens instantaneously. And so that's a huge benefit. Excuse me. There's the idea that at some point, I heard this in my naturopathic school, that an ultimate goal might be like a Jesus sort of thing, where you could walk into a room and your presence in the room or a shadow would fall on somebody or something and they would be healed. Well, it's very dramatic. I've seen things like that happen, by the way, but that doesn't mean they have to happen that way. One of the biggest things, and I've talked about it often, is the idea that something's wrong, that you need to fix it, that it must be changed in order for you to be happy. And if you only had this, then you would be. Or if you didn't have that, then you wouldn't have all this pain and discomfort and suffering. And all of those things themselves, the ideas themselves, are what holds you in pain, discomfort, and suffering. When you let go of the idea that you have to track your pain or your problems at every moment, they become in the background. It's kind of like I've got an air conditioner on because I've got a bunch of computers in here. So I've got an air conditioner on. It's usually on about 73 because that's a nice, comfortable temperature. And my room, like I said, it has so much electronics in it, lights and things, that it stays fairly warm even in the winter. And so I don't hear that sound hardly at all anymore. If you were to really tune in, you might be able to even hear the 60 cycles per second of the electricity cycling through. So it does make a noise, or you might be able to feel it. But it's okay. It's totally okay to let some things drop way deep into the background so that you don't have to track them at all. If you've got a particular pain or a problem that's really, really bothering you. You know, in NLP, they talk about neuro-linguistic programming. They talk about putting things behind you or noticing what's behind you and bringing it someplace else. And I've talked a lot about this in psycho-emotional energetics, where these patterns seem to be, they may not really be arranged that way, but they seem to be arranged in a geometry around you. And so if you start to shift without trying, and this is the hard part, people want to be the arbiter of their destiny, so to speak. And they don't realize that their destiny might just be arbitrary. There may not be anyone controlling the helm. There may not be any helm to even control. And you're not floating on the waves, you are the waves. And as soon as we misidentify, if we identify with the crashing of the surf, then well, it can get bumpy. But if we identify with the ocean and with the movement of everything, the Tao, as it were, then we're riding that wave without, and we're a part of it without needing to separate ourselves out to have the experience of this wave crashing